On this week's episode of Motivational Minutes, luxury real estate developer Stephanie Shojaee explains why there's nothing wrong with living the good life if you've worked hard to achieve it.
My number one advice, it's not to females, it is to the human race. Really, I wish I could put a billboard of this. My biggest advice is that you need to learn to control that voice in your brain. You need to learn to control it. You need to learn to control your emotions. If you don't control your emotions are going to control you. And it's that little voice in your head that puts self-doubt. I don't look good. Am I sitting right? Do they think I'm silly? Am I asking a dumb question? Do I really know myself? Is the person next to me better? You need to mute that voice in your head. That voice in your head, I'm not saying your gut intuition. I'm saying that voice in your head that just spills doubt in you is the biggest problem. That it's just a distraction. Like, I wish people could just learn to really mute it. And I feel like I can't say I perfected it, but I'm really close to having a non-existent voice in my head.
Or even like reprogramming the voice just to be a positive,
Correct.
Right? To say, I can do anything.
Yes.
I just had a guy a couple weeks ago I spoke to. He's blind, and he said,
I saw.
Yeah, I mean, NFL draft pick with no vision.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, here I am, barely can get to the gym with, with full working sight.
Yeah.
So as we're moving towards the end of our conversation here, and I just, again, it's so great to have you here because I think you are a voice that we have not featured in our podcast where, in this space, in this particular industry. I do wonder, would you say it's still a boys' club and men are resistant to women working in your space, or are men becoming more welcoming to women in the space?
I can tell you that I think they're becoming more welcoming. I think at this point, all of the work that you're doing and the generation as a whole and the movement on social media, and I think they're all slowly, adapting. I maybe can even say family members of mine, especially Latins, which unfortunately I hate to have to say this, but the sexism is very strong in Latin countries. It's just the way it is. I feel like a lot of them are even adapting to understanding that no, women can do everything just as well, sometimes even better. So I think it is a boys' club, but it's getting better. I can proudly say it's getting better, and I can go to bed at night knowing that I was one of them that is making a big change in having them accept it.
Yeah, I mean, if you don't believe it, just go to her Instagram. Because, honey, from one yacht to the private jet to she's clearly doing something.
Corey, yes, it is very much luxury driven because luxury it is one of my passions. I do like it, but there is a reason for this luxury. It means that you work really hard, that you can get it if that's what you like, because some people want to work really hard and that's not what they like. So for me, like I said, at a very young age, I was drawing, diamonds and cars. That's just what I like. But at the same time, I'm also teaching women to please, you can be sexy and not dress so revealing. That there is a sexiness to dressing conservative. I like to let them know that I get along great with my team, that I mentor them, that this is not a competition. If my team does well, I do well. So there's a lot more than just private airplanes and yachts and a fabulous life, but it's a whole package that I want people to take from my social media. Aside from the fact that if you know that I love luxury and I love greatness and everything for me has to be perfect in the sense of like bags and clothes, and that's how we build. That's how Shoma is. I take such pride in the buildings that we build. I visit all of the rental communities constantly. I make sure that every little detail is always perfect. I mean, I don't know if you would believe me, but I have these refrigerators in these rental communities that I call them the wow refrigerators. When you're touring our community and you open the refrigerator, it's a wow refrigerator, meaning that everything is just perfect. Wow. It's like snacks and sodas and waters and everything. And I was the one that stock them myself with my team just because I like everything to be so perfect. So I'm very hands-on, and I feel like all that you can see on my social media.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, those things do not come without hard work. And there's something to be said also about manifesting the lifestyle that you really want by believing in it, or attracting things you want. And it reminds me of how one of my obsessions, quite honestly, is high-end boutique hotels and yachts, Ferretti specifically.
Yeah,
I know. And so, but as a copywriter and marketer, I just kind of put that out there when I was doing my freelance work. And one of my clients, he does lighting for boats and yachts. And so part of what my compensation was, he flew me to the Fort Lauderdale yacht show a couple of times. And I'm like, how did that happen? But it's because I thought it and I manifested it and put it out into the universe. So it's very important to just see what you want to be and kind of put those things in your frontal lobe
Mm-hmm.
and go for it.
Yeah.
And go for it.
It goes
Yeah.
back to programming your power, your supercomputer up there. I feel like at a very young age, I just knew I was destined for greatness. I knew that I wanted really nice things, but I also knew I was willing to really put in the work. My dad loved to do the gardening in the house, and he would hold up these garbage bags and put all the plants inside the bag. And I would see him kind of struggling through the window doing it all himself. So I walked out there and I was like, I'll hold the bag for $10. And I would negotiate with him and raise all this money, well, my $100, $200, and I would want to buy stuff that was like really nice, nicer than what everyone else was around. But I knew that I put in the work. So I feel like at a very young age, I manifested this life, and I'm going to continue manifesting it because I'm nowhere near done. And I have so much more to go. Maybe you and I will buy our own yachts, park them next to each other in the Amalfi Coast.
Look, I am so ready. My partner keeps saying, look, that Amalfi Coast is like so on the to-do list. He's already been like a few times. He's like, you gotta go. So yeah, side by side.
Yes.
We'll both,
Yeah.
we'll just be, we'll be pouring. Yeah. Oh, I'd love it. We'll be like pouring Dom across the. Count me in. Count me in.
Done. Well,
I look good in pink too.
A couple years. Just, perfect.
Yeah. We'll put it on a calendar like 2024. That'll be the projection.
Oh wow, you move quick. 2 years.
Look, I'm trying to emulate you. Clearly, I can't. There's no time to waste. So, tell me, finally, if you had one bit of advice for a young woman specifically looking to get into real estate development, what would be one bit of advice you'd give her?
To stay persistent, to be assertive, to really know your subject, and most importantly, to stay true to yourself. Don't change, don't adapt, don't go to a meeting and think this is how I should be because that meeting that went well and I just want to look like that person. No, you have to really know your stuff, be assertive when you speak. I think speaking up, really staying authentic to yourself. But again, my number one advice, and it's not just to women, it's to everybody, is really to control that little voice in your head, to control your emotions, and to really just program yourself to always think positive and, strive for greatness.
Subscribe today for more inspiration on the go.